Hello first year, it's Mrs McInnes here. Today's lesson is going to be some revision for our upcoming assessment, which will be on the 18th of February. So what I would like to do today is spend the period just doing a couple of different numeracy skills as revision. So the ones I've chosen are going to be rounding to decimal places and also long multiplication. So really these two topics are something that I feel pupils often forget and quite easily forget, but it's very easy to pick it back up once you've had a sort of reminder of it. So the rounding to decimal places is more your sort of yellow purple work, but your long multiplication is definitely just purple. But this class is a really good class, and I'm more than sure that when it comes to revision for your assessment, most of you, if not all of you, will be looking at that yellow and purple level work to really kind of push yourself. So what we're going to do first is have a little look at a recap of rounding to decimal places. So as a reminder of the rule for rounding, I have a little visual illustration here that is sometimes quite helpful to think of. So our rule for rounding is the same whether it's for whole numbers, tens, hundreds, thousands, or decimal places, okay? And our rule is that if we have a 5 or higher, the previous number gets rounded up by 1. If it is a 0 to a 4, so 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we leave the previous number as it is, okay? So 5 or more, we round up, otherwise we leave the digit as it is, okay? So there is a little kind of poem down here that you might find helpful. It says, find the digit, look next door, 5 or higher, add one more, 4 or less, let it rest. So really just reinforcing the rule of 5 or higher is when we round up, okay? So you can sort of use that little visual there as a way to remember that 5 is your tipping point as to whether you round up or leave the digit as it is. So I thought I would do a couple of sets of examples with you, and I'm going to do rounding to 1, 2 and 3 decimal places. As long as you understand the rule for rounding, you could do any number of decimal places. So I think it's quite good to do a little mix here of 1, 2 and 3. So this first number here, we have 9.3672. So first of all, if we're going to round it to 1 decimal place, all we need to do is look at one number after the decimal point. So here, that would just be that 3 there, okay? So that's your first decimal place. What I find useful to do is draw a line and cut off the rest of the number, okay? So after that line is where you're looking to see, are you rounding up or leaving as it is? So the 6 here is the number you're looking at. So 6 is obviously higher than 5. 5 or more, we're going to round the previous number up. So because it's a 6, we're going to round that previous number up by 1. So the 3 will turn into a 4. So 9.4 would be that number rounded to 1 decimal place. If we do the same number to 2 decimal places, we're just going to look 2 numbers after the point, so the 3 and the 6. And if I draw a wee line there, the next number is a 7, okay? So that is higher than 5, which means the previous number, just that 6, is going to go up by 1. So it's going to be 9.37. And then if we do the same again for 3 decimal places, so if we look 3 numbers along from the decimal point, so 1, 2 and 3, and then cut off the rest of that number, it's a 2. So if it's less than 5, we leave the previous number as it is. So we're going to leave that last number as a 7, so 9.367. Let's do the same again with another number, so 10.2287. So 1 decimal place, well, after that decimal point, the first number there is a 2. So if we look after that, the next number along is a 2. So we would leave the previous number as it is, so 10.2. Same again for 2 decimal places. So 2 numbers after the decimal point is both of the 2's, so 1, 2. The next number is an 8. So the previous number will go up by 1 because that's bigger than a 5. So we're going to get 10.23. And the last example is to do this to 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3 numbers along would be the 2, and the 8. Cut off just there. the next number is a 7, so that's going to round that previous number up by 1. So we're going to have 10.229, the 8 will go up to 9. Okay, remember it is only the previous number that rounds up or gets left as it is. Okay, so it's only that last number that I've underlined in the way that I've set out these examples. So hopefully that's a little recap for you of your rounding. Okay, so you'll have an opportunity to practice some of that today if you feel that's something you want to spend some time on. The other skill that I wanted to go over with you is long multiplication. So often pupils just forget how to lay this out. So I'm going to do 2 of these with you and just talk you through the process. So the first one is 23 times 42. So the first thing we want to do is write those numbers out in a proper sum. Some of you call it a chimney sum, an upstairs downstairs sum, a double-decker sum, whatever you call it, as long as your units and your tens are lined up underneath each other. I don't mind what you call it. So what we're going to do here is we've got 23 times 42. So what we're going to do first of all is pretend first of all that 4 is not there. So just pretend for a minute that the sum is 23 times 2. So you're going to start off just as you normally would with a multiplication sum. So 2 times 3 gives you 6, and then 2 times 2 gives you 4. Then what we need to do is we've multiplied by the 2, we now need to multiply by this 4. Now that 4 is in the tens column. So that means that your units column is going to be empty because there's nothing in the units column for you to multiply by, okay? So you're already starting in your tens column. So then when you do 4 times the 3, you're going to start filling it in from there. So 4 times 3 gives you 12, carry your 1. 4 times 2 is 8, add that 1 gives you 9, okay? So effectively what we have here is that line, the top line there is times 2, that line down there is times 40. And we're doing times 42, so we have to add all of that together. So 6 and 0 is 6, 2 and 4 is 6, and you're 9, so 966. If we do the same again, 19 times 65, so if we lay it out first of all in the proper way, we're then going to start off by pretending that 6 is not there and just doing 19 times 5 first of all. So 5 times 9 gives you 45, so carry your 4. 5 times 1 is 5, add your 4 gives you 9. We're then going to drop down a line and fill in our 0 because we're now multiplying by the 6, and that's in the tens column. So 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 1 is obviously 6, add your 5 is 11. So these two lines, this is times 5 and this one is times 60. So all together times 65, so we have to add all this together. So 5 and 0 is 5, 9 and 4 is 13, 2 there and 1 there, so 1, 2, 3, 5. Alright, so if you think that this long multiplication is something that you don't really remember that well or just want to practice, you'll have a choice of that today as well. Alright, so for your classwork today, if you want to spend some time on your rounding, okay, it's the Level F textbook, which is the purple, sort of lilac purple textbook, and it's page 64. So if you want to spend some time on that, that's what I want you to do. If you want to do some long multiplication, the questions are just here on the screen. So the teacher that you have available just now can pause the video here and display these as your questions to work on, okay? So you can choose what you want to do. You can do one, you can do the other, you can do a bit of both. I don't mind what you want to do, but these are the 2 skills that I've chosen as a revision for today. All right, so on the next slide down, I have got the answers for this. So again, your teacher can pause the video to here, and that's the answers to the long multiplication questions. The answers obviously to the textbook are at the back of the textbook. Please make sure, guys, that you are checking the Teams pages and Satchel 1 for the revision booklets that all the teachers will have posted ahead of your assessment, and make sure that you begin that revision now, and if you are stuck with anything, that you ask for help. All right. Right, I will speak to you all soon and probably see you after the February weekend. All right, have a nice day. Bye.